Hi, I'm Gaz.
I'm Jay.
And this is Talk Nerdy to Me. We've just been to the exclusive screening of Good Tidings, which was part of SPOOKPORT in our hometown of Southport, where Good Tidings was shot in the old courthouse. And what we saw was a couple of shorts as well, which we thought we'd talk about.
Yeah.
So we'll go through them one by one. So what was the first one?
The first one we had was Silently Within Your Shadow. Now, this one immediately, from the very first scene in it, I was like, this is amateur. Like, not in I don't mean to be nasty. I don't mean to be overcritical. I get it. Like, I mean, right now, the way we're filming this, we're amateur as well. But what I mean is, it didn't give off... you could just tell what you were watching. It's about, not to give too much away, but it involves a girl, a guy, and a puppet.
Yeah, and I think the worst thing about it for me was that the puppet just didn't have any originality to it. Like, I think we both came out of it and said that it looked like Slappy from Goosebumps, which is fair enough, but
they got it right in Goosebumps.
Yeah, I just
didn't
thought,
get it right in this.
You know, I just thought at least wither it or something and make it look a little bit different.
Yeah,
you know, but it was. I don't know, it didn't really grip me. There was a
its
part
mouth didn't move properly, which didn't really work.
It's low budget, and it was one of those that I just didn't click with it.
No, it didn't.
So.
It just didn't quite work for me, especially when you compare it to everything else that was then to follow. Yeah. At first I thought, oh God, this is going to be a bit awkward, but then it followed up with Don't Move, which is the concept of it was fantastic. So all we do is in the starting credits, there's a lot of bone crunching and screaming and all sorts, and then you just drop straight into a scene. There's a scene where literally, I don't want to give anything away, but you have so many characters, there's a situation going on, and you've just got to pick it up right from there, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it was gripping. It was, I mean, the actual villain of the piece was scary. So well done, and it was scary because it was
tense.
You're
just tense. You're on edge.
You didn't really know what was going on at first, but you get it straight away. You know, you can kind of see what's going on once it like kind of does a spin round to the room, and you're like, right, okay, I'm kind of there. I'm in there now. Yeah. And as I say, when you first see that bad guy or whatever it is, kind of thing.
Again, without giving anything away.
Yeah, it looked fucking awesome.
What I liked about it was I felt like I was me and the characters were one, because there was a part of them you could see of them going, what is going on? What is going on? We're asking the same. We're trying to figure it out, and then as they figure it out, we figure it out as well. And and then again, not to give anything away, but there was a nice little twist at the end, and it worked. It looked so professional, graphics, camera angles, everything. Like I said, really liked that one.
Yeah. Really I thought that was. There was obviously how many? 5.
5.
I thought that one was
your fave.
My favourite one. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon so. Then after that came. I thought this was a weird title. The Outer Darkness.
Yeah, I think it was weird, because even after I'd watched it, I didn't really understand what the
Up there with the Book of Shadows, mate.
I didn't understand the title at all.
No,
but then what else would you call it? It was weird.
An evil game.
Yeah,
something like that. So
it's an evil game.
So it was just again a weird concept, spooky concept. A very, very morbid game is played. A gambling game as such. There is quite a bit of tension because of this. Again, the bad guy, really well done. Camera angles, graphics, visuals, all really good. Nice little twists as well. It's one of now it looks like a continuing series. Wasn't as clear to me as Don't Move, and which was before it. Some bits I had to turn and ask you why did that bit happen. But nonetheless, still really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked it. Again, I thought the villain who was running this game looked magnificent. You know they're doing these type of things generally on probably tight budgets, to say the least.
Yeah.
But to get that impact from the bad guy was really good.
Better than some Doctor Who's I've seen, if I'm honest.
To be fair, with the budgets they get.
Yeah.
My only negative with that one was the end just seemed to fizzle out So it kind of had the game bit, which was really gripping, and then it was like basically like like a vicar's circle.
Yeah.
Of
again, not ruining too much for people. It begins with an opening scene showing a character talking about the following story. Then you have the story, and then of course, as that story ends, we go to what that character is then finishing the story and then carrying on living their life. I don't think it was necessary. I think you could have just had the story. I didn't see the point. I really didn't get it.
I thought I don't want to give too much away, but there's obviously like a vicar character, and I thought he was going to have a lot more to do with it. And maybe in the next, if they are making the next one, then maybe that ties in or something. But I thought that was the only weird thing about it. But I did enjoy it. We
might be wrong. They might do the second one, and we might go, you know what?
Yeah.
Bam. Really did actually that's necessary at the moment. Up in the air. Which then this one kind of divided me.
Yeah, I
the BIRCH.
Didn't like it.
So the BIRCH, again, we don't want to get. I feel like you could play a drinking game here every time we've said don't want to give too much away. The BIRCH was an odd one. It seems to be about a child and their connection with something otherworldly. Is the best way I could put it. And
can we not say what it is? Because that's why I hated it.
Go on, tell me what. Can you
tree.
Oh, you should put like spoiler come up. Yeah. So it was an evil tree.
I think, judging on the fact it's called the BIRCH, we know there's a tree in it.
Yeah, I mean, but I kind of when I heard the BIRCH, I kind of thought it would be something to do with the forest as a whole, like the birch.
Yeah,
and
I would have liked that.
And
I just didn't like the fact that it was like basically like.
But then it was an evil tree.
A tree witch.
A tree witch, but then the BIRCH wasn't as. I wouldn't mind, but it actually did look really good makeup. I also like
it looked okay.
I also like the way it was shot. So it was one huge montage of taking various parts. You could have easily had a beginning, a middle, and an end, but instead they take bits from here, and you're sort of watching it, and as the montage is going, you're putting it together. Most of the end bits are, of course, at the end. And then I liked the way it was made, I like the structure, but the story, it was a little bit. Yeah, you need something stronger than a tree, which is meant to be spooky. In daylight, which didn't help it, and it was called the BIRCH.
Yeah, I just didn't like that one.
Gave me a weeping willow. And then the last one, which was a very good way to warm us up for the main event, which was, of course, Good Tidings. We had Deathly Presence, which
was almost like a seasonal horror as well, wasn't
it?
But seasonal. Obviously a very short version of it.
Short and to the point. Meant to be a bit funny, meant to be it was silly. But
good bit of humour at the end with like the kind of twist on what was going on.
But I made everyone had the same reaction. They all jumped and then they all laughed. Yeah. And it was a fun. It's up there probably with Evil Dead 2 in that kind of tone. It was but I enjoyed that. Didn't take itself seriously at all. Really liked that one. So well done on that one. And then of course we went straight into we had a little break and then went into Good Tidings. Now, Good Tidings, without giving too much away, you can go and listen to our podcast, which we'll release at the same time. We've got Stuart Bedford, the director, who came on. And he gives a little description of it, but the best way I can put it, I would have thought it reminds me of a bit like Die Hard meets The Shining. But I'm immediately... I've put like these big films, but on a low, simple B-movie horror budget, and it works.
I would have thought you mentioned John Carpenter there, because I thought the whole thing oozed John Carpenter, and I think Stu has obviously mentioned to us that he's a big John Carpenter fan, and I thought it was shot to perfection as like an ode to those kind of films from that era. There was like little subtleties in there that were placed and like were kind of like odes to certain things. Like you mentioned Die Hard, there's like a very Die Hard feel to one bit of it at least, which is, fantastic because it's not just a horror film.
No, that's what I liked. I think the thing was when I looked at it and when obviously we were going there and I was describing it to one of our friends in the car, he was really worried it was only a gore, stabby slasher kind of thing. And I'm not going to say, there is blood and there is some pretty gruesome deaths, but it's not overdone. Because in between you've got this really good thriller which kept you on in the moment, kept you wondering. You cared about the characters. I did care about the characters, and it's just fantastic. And the concept is so clever. The concept is morbid and clever.
Yeah, because there's obviously, it is a horror film in the sense that it's got kills and stuff like that in it. So, you know, sometimes you watch a thriller and sometimes the whole point of it is it's psychological and stuff like that. There are kills in this film, so that makes it a horror film. But I thought it was much more action thriller and stuff. You know, it did have that Die Hard feel. It was a main guy who was, you know, under the cosh, so to speak, who was fighting back against these bad guys.
Which he really didn't stand too much of a chance of. It's like he was even saying he has to be a one-man army, but it's realistic. It isn't like Die Hard where he walks over glass barefoot and then leaps down a lift shaft and catches someone, doesn't somehow break an arm. You know, he gets hurt. It's like Daredevil in the sense that he gets hurt, he tries to get back up, he needs help. There's, you know, and I like that because at the end, I'll be honest, I didn't know who was going to live, who was going to die. I didn't really know if I should get attached to certain characters, which has that kind of Walking Dead vibe about it. It was bob on. We really liked the casting. I mean, we've been talking about the cinematography and the story a little bit there, again, without too much detail, but the casting is really, I think, what cements it.
Yeah, I love the fact that, I mean, you don't see many films like this where you've got a Scouse cast, essentially. So there's a little bit of, it's from home.
Yeah.
But I thought it worked really well, and it was interesting to see quite a John McClane type character with a Scouse accent. I was just waiting for the yippee-ki-yay kind of.
Fucking yes, motherfucker. So I was most impressed with Mona O'Connor. Now, Mona in this is a character that comes in about halfway. She's introduced a bit early, but nothing much happens. And then at halfway, she has a really pivotal point for her character. And I was so impressed. Like I was watching as a really hard scene for her character, and I was enthralled with that actress and what she was doing, and again, really good. It's good casting and good directing, being able to get that out of people who aren't being paid millions of pounds.
Yeah, I thought she was great. There's obviously, we don't want to go into detail of what happens. But as JB says, it's like a really tense moment where she just blows this.
There's so many ways she could have reacted.
There's
so many obvious ways in that one scene. If you go see this film, you'll know the scene. So many ways she could have obviously played it, but she plays it in a completely different way, which is actually more realistic. And that's what kind of got to me, and that's what I like about this. It's got a bit of silliness to it because of the concept, but it could happen, and he plays it serious, and I really liked that. Again, Roxy, a good character.
I thought she was fantastic.
Strong female characters in this, by the way. Very strong female characters in this.
You know, that's it. It had that balance, because you had, obviously, we've discussed the main guy. Roxy will be the main girl, but gave as good as she got as well, really. And certainly, towards the end, almost becomes the main person of it. So, you know, I thought she was absolutely brilliant.
There is a lot of, throughout this film, there's a lot of role reversal. There's a lot of stuff that it could have been out. This is the kind of film which, if been thrown at AAA Hollywood, would have had very obvious kind of fake romanticisms going on, maybe stupid deaths, and also just unbelievable, like things that are unbelievable. This is what's more important about cinema, about getting people not to be touched like that. Go and see an independent film. Go and see, if your mate's made a film, support him. If you hear about one in your local cinema, like a Fact Cinema, go see it, because you'll be shocked. We've said this year, I've said I've not been impressed with many films this year, but the films I have been impressed with this year
are the smaller films. The less budgets, because they've got a better story to tell a lot of the time. They're not tainted as well, I think, by, you know, you do sometimes think like the big production companies are going to look at a script and go, sorry, we're not quite happy that shines as much as we'd like it to. Well, that loses that grit, it loses that realism, and I think that's what oozed out of this film. As you say, this is something that you almost, regardless of how silly the concept was, in the sense that it was, you know, effectively Santas. It looked like it could happen.
Yeah, you know? And the Santas were great, by the way.
Yeah, and that's one thing as well to touch on, where they did look creepy. They did look great, and I love the fact that each one of them, there was 3 of them, each had their own dynamic to proceedings. And my favourite one was the smaller one with the limp, who actually ended up developing some sort of relationship with some of them. Which was a really good, interesting take on it, instead of it just being like, we're just going to kill everyone.
Because that's the thing about some horrors, like, you got your Jasons and your Mike Myers, where they're just this blank, robotic kind of character going around murdering senselessly. It's nice to see that they actually do have personalities to them. Can they be changed? Do they have motivation? They're not just senseless killing, even though in one sense it is senseless killing. But it was great. If I had to say anything negative about it, which this is what we do, we review stuff, we criticise things. I'm not going to favourite you, Stu. I'm not going to give you any special treatment. I wouldn't think you want me to anyway. If I had to have one criticism, I would say there was just some scenes which were a little, I don't know if they were a little played out a bit longer, or maybe it was just because there's some scenes that I thought could have done with a bigger budget. I know that's very ironic given what I've just said, but there were some scenes which he's done what he could with what he had. But there was a couple of scenes where I maybe got taken out a little bit by it. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to hold that against you, because Jesus Christ, we're filming this on an iPhone right now because I forgot my fucking camera. All right, so you've done pretty frigging well. I'm not going to have a go at you at all. But yeah, that'd be the one slight criticism. But it is a first movie, so fuck that.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm pretty brutal with my ratings usually. No one gets a 10 unless I absolutely think it's an absolute nailed on.
Yeah.
You're unbelievable. And even 9s, to be fair, you've got to work hard to get that.
What did you give Labyrinth again?
Probably like 6 or 7.
Gave Labyrinth a 6.
I'm very harsh, man.
No.
But I would genuinely give this film an 8.
Yeah.
And that, to be fair, for a film of its budget, for a film that's being recorded in our hometown, is absolutely phenomenal. I just thought it was gripping throughout, and I absolutely loved it, and I couldn't speak highly enough of it for like just one of those films where one of the first things I did was get back and message people and say, you want to watch this film? If you like horror, you're gonna love it. But even if you don't like horror and you like just like things like Die Hard, you're gonna love this film. And it doesn't surprise me at all what they're winning. And it doesn't surprise me at all that they've got this distribution deal, because this is a film that people will want to see.
No, well done. Honestly, well done, Stu. Well done to all the team. Well done for everyone for making such a cracking night. I forgot, it kind of rekindled a little thing in me of making me realise that I do like to watch horror. I've just been a bit, I'll be honest, I've just been a bit of a wuss about it of late. I've just not been watching it. But
I do think there's an element of horror has gone. Some of the mainstream ones, anyway, the ones that get churned out all the time, have become less and less horror to me. So it's almost like it's like
Freddy versus Jason. I would watch for a laugh. I would watch that to be funny.
A lot of it's watered down. And some of it, to be fair, is trash of what comes out of Hollywood. So I think the horror genre as a whole has suffered because of how many films come out.
Just get shoved out.
To be fair, aren't very good. Unfortunately, films like this can make you see how much of a valued genre it is.
I think it's the Paranormal Activities and Saws of this world, where they've just found a cheap cash cow and just gone, let's do this, every Halloween? Can we get one out every year? Let's go. Because how many Saws have they done?
Well, you've got to look at that and think Saw, when it first came out, was very original and it was very, very good. But, they taint it all the time by having Saw fucking 6 or something.
I think it's 8,
Oh, my God.
I'm sure it's 8. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's, I think we've touched on every good point there. So, honestly, go see Good Tidings. Well worth a watch. Gaz gave it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a fantastic film. And everything's in the description below. All those first films we'll put links to if we can, or at least to the trailers so you can get a look at them. And go and support, underground films. Go and support independent films, because we had a really good night.
Yeah, and thanks to Two-Headed Snake for obviously inviting us, and obviously Stuart for sorting that out for us. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. Keep talking nerdy.
Keep talking nerdy.